And of course, let's try this again. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I, of course, am Mr. Warren Hayes. Thank you all for being here tonight, for joining me live. Yes, live right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, as we are going to be ready to talk about professional wrestling. Another week has gone by, at least, from Thursday to Thursday, right? Like, the week is not officially concluded. We still got Friday and Saturday. Why does my brain operate this way? Why do I always feel like I do this kind of stuff, and I'm like, oh, the past week in wrestling, yeah, but the week isn't over. It's like a Thursday to Thursday. Like, I get into these details. I guess I'm detail oriented, except when I don't unmute my microphone. It's the July 29th. The month of July is already wrapping up, everyone, and this is where we're at. We're about to settle in and talk about professional wrestling tonight. Talk about all the ins and outs and all sorts of great stuff. I'm going to be talking New Japan. I'm going to be talking WWE. I'm going to be talking AEW. I might even sprinkle in some GCW. There's been a few things happening on that front. Just minor stuff. But we are going to be doing that tonight. We are going to be chatting tonight. And when I say we, I mean myself and the live crowd who joins me here every Thursday night to talk about wrestling right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, because yes, the Mr. Warren Hayes Show is recorded live every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. It'd be great if you had the opportunity to join me. And here's the thing. If you're maybe like on Thursdays, you're like, man, Warren, Thursdays I can't because I can't join you on Thursday nights because it's sex night with my partner. I don't know, it could be. And you're like, it would be much more convenient for me if you did a stream on another day at this time. And why don't you guys let me know that stuff? Send me a DM, reach out to me on Twitter. There's probably really great reasons. Maybe you'd like to show up, and maybe there's great reasons why you can't show up. Could be other stuff, But let me know, and we can work something out. I'm thinking about ideas, and I want to be able to hang around with a bunch of y'all on different occasions. Yeah. So it would be nice. So let me know. Let me know. But in the meantime, look at who we have here. We got Robert Larry, who's here. Good to see you, Robert. Kelly Tonjes is here as well. Kelly, I salute you. Mr. Fretz is in the house. Nice to see you as well. Fretz, 5th generation Carney Joseph with it. Here as well. How you doing, Carney Joseph? Nice to see you. Flowman is also in the house. Our boy Ben, which of course you should follow. Follow him on his Facebook page. Ben provides all sorts of great music. He is a synthwave musician. Fantastic stuff. Provides the music for the pre-roll. Look, just go facebook.com/phantomark82. Follow Ben. That's important. It's essential, actually. It's good to see you, Ben. Evan Wright is here as well. Nice to see you. Anakin JMT as well. Swiss roll Chris. I don't know why. Like, the first time I always say the first moment I have to pronounce Swiss roll Chris, it always I become mealy mouthed. Everything turns to mush. But then I get Swiss roll Chris. Good to see you. Welcome to the chat. And Anakin JMT already left us a super chat, which you can leave throughout the show, by the way, and I will read your question or comment live and on the air, recorded for posterity throughout all the eons of existence of humanity. Anakin says, obligatory botch / DGMC is a coward super chat. Well, there you go. I mean, what am I going to do about the botches? It's our boy Tim from Armbar Audio. It's good to see you, Tim. Look at that. We got packed house here tonight. So thank you everyone for joining me here live. If you're already watching, hey, give me a like. Do it. Just give the video a like on YouTube. Go ahead. Do it if you're watching live. And if you're watching on your own accord, on demand, do it. Just press like. Just go ahead and just fucking do it, okay? If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, because the Mr. Warren Hayes Show is available in podcast format, audio only, for all your on-the-go consumption on your favorite podcast app, whether it be Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, whatever. You can show some love there too. Reviews, likes, subscriptions, joins, follows, whatever it is. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's all little things that help the channel, help the growth quite a bit. But I talk about this every week. You guys probably know by now, right? But I'm doing it for the casual viewers. I'm doing it for the casuals. Don't forget also to follow Bell to Bells. That's your women's wrestling wire. belltobells.com. BELLTOBELLES.com. Just today we released an interview that I conducted with Lady Frost, and I was super excited to talk with her, and I'm so happy she took the time to out of her super busy schedule, because here's a woman who is she's 3 years in the business. And she is all over the place. You've seen her on AEW. You've seen her on Impact. You've seen her in Ring of Honor. You've seen her in NWA. She is all over the place and a fantastic person. Talked about a lot, great stuff. We talked about, you know, her training, what she's up to. We've talked about her future plans. We've talked about water parks in that interview. She's a cool lady. Go check that out. That's on our YouTube channel, Bell to Bells. YouTube.com/belltobells. Fun interview, fun person. But wait till I'm done here. Cue it up. Just don't leave now. I'm telling you, these casuals, you have to explain everything to them. Oh boy. Be sure also, if you're in the chat and you want to continue all these discussions, there's a Discord. The link is in the description. Please come and join us in our little community. There's a great bunch of people who hang out there, and I'm very, very proud of the community that we've built up there. So please come and join us. Come and join us. And look, I just realized I didn't update the streak count. We're up to 15 videos with 20 comments. 15 videos with 20 consecutive comments on it. 5 more, and I'm going to cook something from the WWF era, all right? Cookbook. Can you take the heat? Can you smell what the WWF is cooking? I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna find some stuff. Look, I might put it up for some polls once I get the cookbook, because it's taken forever. Once I get the cookbook and I open it up and I look at what's inside, I might actually put it up for a vote. I might actually put it up for a vote to see what you guys would like me to cook, and I'll record the whole thing. It should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to do that, but we have to get to 20 videos with 20 comments on that first. And the comments help. The comments help out a lot as well. Super chatting helps out a lot as well. Becoming a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel helps as well. You get emotes if you join live. If you join live, seriously, I think becoming a member is the best deal. It's the best thing because you get a bunch of exclusive emotes. And on top of that, you can join us immediately after the main stream right here to continue talking about pro wrestling. I do a post stream, Warren is off the clock, where we just sit around, all of us members, and we chat about wrestling, and I talk directly with people in the chat. We get people in the Discord calling in. It's a good time. It's a lot of fun. Consider becoming a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes. And if this is your first time watching, hi, welcome. Hopefully I'll earn your subscription tonight. Hopefully you'll enjoy this enough to become a subscriber. Otherwise you'll just be a filthy casual. I'm on a tear tonight. Let's get those casual references going. Have I said everything that has to be said for now? I do believe so. I think I've been through everything, so let's get right to it. Let's just jump right in. Let's go for the weekly wrestling inspection. Ayo. See that's the kind of music that our boy Phantomark82 provides for us. And look at that, the banner just appears up here up top. You couldn't ask for better synergy. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, and I know today, because I listened to it. I was gonna say I kind of participated, but I didn't participate at all. What am I talking about? But I kind of listened. See, I did it again. I listened to the WWE Q2 2020 earnings today and cross my finger. Like, I might talk about it if we have time, but I feel like there's a lot more really fun wrestling stuff to talk about, and there weren't many indicators of note that came out of the Q2 earnings today. Overall, like, they've essentially hit their targets. They've exceeded expectations in a couple of their, not expectations, but their projections in a couple of areas as well. Operating costs are still down. Look, you know, and WrestleMania made money. Like, you know, no big surprise. The 2021, yes, sorry, 2021. I'm saying 2020, 2021. And you know, Vince had some quotables like he does every time. If we have time at the end, maybe we'll talk about the quotables, because it was, you know, it's good. It was a good earnings report for WWE. It's very positive overall for them, you know, but I don't find that there's all that much to I don't feel there's all that much good stuff to chew on. And I don't know. Could be me. We'll see. We'll see if we have time. Because first, I'd like to talk about, before we... And by the way, Metal Michael, good to see you. Friend of the show. Nice to see you. I've been on his show a couple of times as well. Nice to see you, sir. Welcome to the chat. Let's see here. What do we do? Oh, yeah. I want to start by talking about GCW Homecoming, which happened this weekend. And of course, the big news, you know, the big thing to come out of it, of the event, it was the main event, the hottest show on the indie circuit, right? Adam Butt! Wait a second. Adam Butt, good to see you. Welcome, Adam Butt. God, I love your name. Adam Butt. Please become a regular. I love it. I love your name. What was I talking? Yeah, so the biggest show possible on the indie, the biggest match possible on the indies happened. Matt Cardona, woo-woo guy, WWE white meat sports entertainer extraordinaire versus I would argue, not only king of the death matches, I'd say king of the indies, Nick Gage, like the quintessential indie guy. They have their match, red hot feud, true frustration and anger, right? Mean-spirited. I'm sort of dumbing it down, but it was really great. Like, for real, fantastic build-up, lots of heat going into this. And Matt Cardona, well, they do the match, and Matt Cardona wins a death match over Nick Gage, becomes the GCW champion. I've got some notes, of course. First of all, you keep hearing, right? You hear often, and I think I'm aware that there's a lot of new people that are attracted or have been led to Nick Gage through the Dark Side of the Ring documentary. And I think that's fair. And when you see the documentary and you hear people talking about it, especially like John Moxley saying, you know, he's got such a great connection with his audience, so on and so forth, I don't think you can really appreciate just how profound the connection Nick Gage has with the GCW audience, with his fans, until you actually see that connection happen before your eyes, until you see Nick Gage being overwhelmed by his fans and like literally unable to walk to the ring. He's being smothered so hard. That's, every time I see that, it just like, it blows my mind. The match itself, bloody, brutal, and Matt Cardona ate it. He ate it like a pro. He's like, okay, I'm here. We're going to do it, right? Like, I'm not going to half-ass it. I'm supposed to fight a death match. with Nick Gage. All right, let's do it. And I mean, this is how you got the whole thing was about Matt Cardona. Will he be? And he came out in white, like guys. He knew what he was doing. Comes out in white. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Match comes to an end when 440 interfere. Those assholes. And Ricky Shane Page runs in to sort of protect Nick Gage from 440. And everyone's like, what? You know, that asshole Ricky Shane Page sticking up for Gage here? And you're like, and I'm sitting there. Look, I'm not going to lie. When Page was there, when RSP shows up and he's sticking up for Gage, I'm like, okay, like the hatred for Matt Cardona in this environment, you know, is so real that even that Ricky Shane Page is ready to defend Nick Gage. He's ready to stick up for him. He's ready to fight on his side because in no way in hell does he want Matt Cardona to. So I'm like, this all makes sense in a weird, twisted way, but like their loyalties are so clear, and it's to the, you know, the spirit of the independents, you know, like the bleeding for what you love, and, you know, fuck Stanford and all, you know. I was like, this is such a good bit of storytelling. Right up until Ricky Shane Page crotches Nick Gage, double crosses him, which allows Matt, I was going to call him Matt Striker. Wow. Matt Cardona to win. And then the ring fills up with trash. The audience just start chucking shit at him. Matt Cardona. All sorts of stuff. Perfect. I promise you, there are wrestlers from the main companies in both WWE and AEW, and even in Impact, who are looking at that and they wish that they had that kind of heat. It's the biggest. It was fantastic. Now, I'm going to break down a couple of things here, because there were some controversies to come out of this. Well, one controversy. People expressing the fact that, oh, we're so embarrassed that the audience reacted this way, that they threw trash into the ring. So embarrassing. Oh my God. Please behave, children. You know? First and foremost, and I've said this in the lead up to live crowds reacting, but I'm going to take this opportunity to reiterate it and make sure we're all clear, because this is going to be a running theme on the Mr. Warren Hayes show, I think, for a few months. People have been clamoring, excited for live crowds to be back. Now, I know on the indie circuit they've been back for a while, but you know, arenas and so on. I am not going to stand anyone who's then going to be like, oh, but the crowd, though, they shouldn't have done this. They shouldn't have shouted that. Oh, goodness, they're doing CM Punk chants. How boorish. I'm not going to stand for that shit. We wanted live crowds to be back. I've seen it, we've all seen it. We've spent the better over a year with nothing, with no live crowds, with sterile and in some circumstances artificial environments, trying to create the atmosphere of a wrestling match. And now that the audiences are back, we're into the matches. We're looking at wrestling shows and we're like, God damn, there's the energy that a crowd brings to a match is, we forgot how much of a quintessential part of it a crowd is, and its energy that they bring to it. So don't come at me saying, all right, don't come at me saying, oh, well, I'm not sure that this was an appropriate response from the audience. GCW wanted heat.
Oh, yeah.
And they were building this match to the biggest heat payoff that they could get. Of course they wanted the audience to chuck shit at them. Now, as usual, I'm going to nuance a little bit, but I don't think we have to nuance this much. This does not mean that I support throwing tall boys at wrestlers. I don't support throwing cans or anything that could outright wound a wrestler, right? We have that understanding, right? I think it's implicit in what I'm saying, but I'm going to be very explicit to make sure this doesn't eventually come and bite me in the ass. Well, Warren, you said people could throw anything. No, that's not what I'm saying. Just don't be fucking morons when you're out there. If you do want to throw stuff because you're really, really mad, throw a plastic bottle, throw you a burger wrapper, throw a bag of chips. Don't go throwing like full cans of alcohol at people. That's stupid, okay? And I think we all agree here. That's stupid. Don't do that. Don't shout out racial slurs, homophobic slurs. That's pathetic. It's pathetic, and it's dumb, and on top of that, it's wrong. But in the entire context of what we're doing here, what happened, and there were no plans. This was the other thing. Oh, there were plans. And even if there were plans, so what? So what? I can guarantee you, absolutely guarantee you, that the audience, that the way the audience reacted was what GCW was looking for. It is what Matt Cardona was looking for. Matt Cardona legitimately has reinvigorated his career. Don't get your signals crossed. He knew exactly what he was doing. He leaves, what am I saying? He gets fired from WWE. What's the first gig he picks up? His boy Cody says, yeah, you can come work here on the limited schedule. He goes there, and he's basically Zack Ryder. He goes in, he does the finger pose. I don't know. You know, he's not doing woo woo woo, but we're this close, right? He does that. It doesn't quite work. It doesn't get him over. No one goes, oh, it's Matt Cardona. Everyone's like, oh, it's Zack Ryder, guy who WWE has completely made persona non grata as far as wrestling fans go. Yes, there was that push, but we're talking years ago. Now at this point, they made him a non-entity. And that's what he had to come back from. I'm pretty sure, he's going around in Impact. He's doing his thing. It's like, well, I'm still Matt Cardona. I'm Matt Cardona, but I still feel like Zack Ryder. And quite honestly, fighting Brian Myers it's not helping him disassociate himself from his former act. The guy knew exactly what he had to do. He needed to get into the grittiest promotion and do the most anti-Zack Ryder thing he could. The most anti-WWE thing he could. Get in a bloody, destructive death match with the guy who is basically maintaining the genre and making it dramatic, right? This is the guy who is 100% over with the maniac, bloodthirsty fans of GCW, and I mean that lovingly, by the way. That is not a shot. There we go. Matt Cardona needed this match to wash himself from Zack Ryder. And the fact that he went into this still doing the sports entertainment thing, smiling, taking pictures of himself with, his former title and his action figures and calling the GCW fans the GCW universe. It was all perfect work. It was perfect work. Because you needed to remember, for this match to work, you as the fans, as GCW fans, as wrestling fans, you needed to be reminded, that his gimmick was everything that you hate about wrestling. He was mainstream. He was the mainstream guy. with the build and the tan and the gel and the specifically choreographed entrance and all that shit. He represented everything that you hate as a fan of indie wrestling. And he comes in, as Joseph Withed says, baptism of blood into this new character. And not only that, he fucking wins the title. He fucking wins the title. Of course the ring is going to fill with trash. The fans barely let Nick Gage get to the ring. And he himself, he'd throw himself into the audience. Like, he loves it. That's part of the connection. That's his thing. Don't get me wrong. I get this. I understand. Holy hell, though. Matt Cardona, reinvention of his career. From this, now he's a hot ticket now on the indies. Good for him. Good for him. Now, I've heard the arguments, and they're not wrong either, Well, GCW probably wanted him to Nick Gage to drop the title before heading over to AEW to fight Chris Jericho, because he was likely going to lose to Chris Jericho. And yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% in agreement with that. And I'd even go as far as to say it's those, what a perfect storm of circumstances to have Nick Gage drop the belt then. Everybody wins. Nick Gage goes on AEW, is not the champion. He gets he takes an L. No big deal. Meanwhile, Matt Cardona gets the biggest win that he's had in a long time. A long time. He has just added onto his career, his persona, onto his booking fee. Like, good for him. There's nothing but good stuff. I love it. I thought it was, and here's the thing, and I'm on record too for this. I am not a deathmatch guy. I'm not a guy who seeks out deathmatch wrestling. It's just not my style. I will absorb one once in a while, especially when there's stakes, when there's something dramatic to it. I made a point of here's a little inside baseball for you. Saturday nights are usually Kristen and myself, it's our date night. We usually shy away from anything related to wrestling, and we do anything else but just a break for ourselves, for a bunch of reasons. So we watch movies, we do anything else. On Saturday I was like, it's it's Matt Cardona and Nick Gage. I feel we should kind of watch it live. And she says, yeah, I kind of agree. We were excited about it. I don't know. I thought it was something you just couldn't miss. I think it was something too important, and I loved it. But like I said, I'm not turning into a big deathmatch guy all of a sudden. And right this week I've had my fill of death matches. Again, this is just very personal. At this point, it's a question of taste, because I'm far from being a part of the crew that poo-poos on it and says, it is embarrassment to wrestling. I hate it too much. Barbarians, So no, I'm not on that. I'm not on that side. On that side of the. I'm not on that side at all. I'm good. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it later. But goddamn if this wasn't great. Fantastic stuff. I love wrestling. A couple of weeks in a row where you're like, man, I love wrestling. I want to say hello to DGMC, who has joined us in the chat. And we also have Cortana Hardy RBLX. who's joined us. Good to see you as well. And let's not forget Adam Butt. I love it. Batmo Beal left us a super chat, is also here in the chat. Welcome and thank you very much for the super chat. They ask, what do you use for the layout? Like the banner above. Thank you. It's a custom layout. I just open up Adobe Illustrator and I put shit together, and I hope it. And the banner is just it's banners that I make and pop them in Streamlabs using the sponsorship banner thing. There you go. Hope that answers your question. Thank you for the super chat. Anyway, that ruled. Let's talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm keeping the cool beans going here. They really had a fantastic event this past weekend, Summer Struggle. And I'm going to tell you, as a New Japan fan, it feels good to have been able to sit down, watch a show, and be like, you know what? This feels good. This is nice. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the whole 9 yards here. Just sliding along. Except for the Rambo, but that's a whole... The Rambo's on the pre-show. I saw you, Evan. Yes, sneak. The Rambo sucked. But it's on the pre-show. Here, look. You know, Toru Yano, one of the things that makes him entertaining is that he's so different, and his shenanigans, when they enter the context of a match, you're like, oh, here goes the wackiness. But, you know, with the whole King of Pro Wrestling thing, giving it to him and now all the gimmicks, it's too heavy-handed. Now, this is like, I don't like... Now it's really like, okay, we're going to drive this home. We're driving this home. We're going to shove it down your throat, right? Kind of thing. And I don't like it. And I thought that, you know, the Rambo sucked. Chase Owens won, so that's another reason why it sucked. But let's get into the matches actually on the card, which was it was a fun show to watch, and I recommend it. I think everything worked here. Even the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, Junior Tag Team Championships, Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. I'll get through it. Taiji Ishimori and El Fantasmo, the champions, successfully defended against the mega coaches, Taguchi and Rocky Romero. This was really fun. I thought it was really, really good. ELP did a mind-bogglingly beautiful rope walk Acai moonsault, which got an incredible amount of distance on top of that. I'm telling you guys, you have to stop sleeping on El Fantasmo. The guy's special. I swear to God, his trajectory and the way he's developing his character, it reminds me of one Kenworth Omegaton. I'm just saying. And he's in Bullet Club as well. You know, Kenny was their junior. He was their junior ace for a while. I'm just saying. The mega coaches do a throwback to Prince Devitt. When Prince Devitt would team up with Taguchi, they did the Black Hole Vacation finisher, which was pretty cool, but that didn't end the match. The end comes with Taguchi taking off El Fantasmo's boot, because Fantasmo's gimmick is that he finishes everyone with a super kick, and then he's going, how can you end a match with a super kick? His boot must be loaded, so that's the big mystery, right? So he takes the boot off because he wants to prove that the boot is loaded, tries to give it to the ref. In the meantime, Ishimori keeps the referee from seeing it. Low blow by Fantasmo, CR2, boom! Champs retain. This was great. And it's one of these matches where Taguchi came to work. Because there's some matches where Taguchi is like, he's fine, but here he came to work. Everyone was into it. I don't know if it was Rocky. I don't know what the thing was, but everything connected here. Good match. Robbie Eagles defeated El Desperado to become the new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, to the shock of thousands. I honestly, who predicted that? unless, I don't think anyone sincerely predicted, like, was like, oh yes, definitely Robbie Eagles. If you got it right, it's because you were counter booking. You were thinking, oh, look at how edgy I am. I'm going to say Robert Eagles is going to win the title. Like, no, I swear. If you were like, and look, I'm completely messing up my setup because of that bit I just did. Sorry for the audio, folks. First Australian to compete in a singles match in New Japan Pro Wrestling in the Dome. That's a big deal for him, and that's great. They had this, and what's cool is that this whole match was about working body parts, and I know it's like they always do that, but this match really centered around Despy and Eagles working body parts, and it was fantastic. There was a great sequence of kicks between them both where Eagles does a wheel kick, but Despy ducks, and then Eagles lands on his knee that Desperado's been, well, he doesn't land on his knee, but he lands and he sells the knee, and Despy just comes right in with a forearm. It's great stuff. Eagles hits a 450 and a Ron Miller special, and he torques it. And he's working it, just, and he releases the hold because Despy's not giving up. So he releases the hold, knee, he starts kicking him in the knee, reapplies it, Despy taps. So I'm like, wow. I was shocked. I was not expecting that. But then you start thinking. You're like, oh, Hiromu Takahashi is back. He has returned to the world of professional wrestling. He's no longer injured. Well, he's cleared to return, I should say. So Hiromu's back. He's the ace of the junior division right now. I think that this is a way for, perhaps a way for New Japan to get the belt back onto Hiromu without having to beat El Desperado and lead us into a Desperado Hiromu match again, which I think is probably the best way to go right now. So as long as, that you can fly into Japan easily, I guess. Because that's a match that makes a lot of sense still. And I think it's still one that a lot of people want to see. It was one of their last match that they had last fall is one of my favorite matches of 2020. I'm absolutely excited for them to run it again. And maybe it's a good idea to, stretch it out a bit. Maybe go Hiromu coming back, winning the belt off of Eagles, and then Despy's like, hey, bro, remember that? Remember me? And just go at it again. I'd love that. But good for Robbie Eagles. I think he's a great talent. I'm glad. Right now, just the little things that they're doing with the junior division, even with the tag titles, these little, everything felt fresh here. And that goes a long way because, man, New Japan, they've been snake bitten. We'll talk about that in a bit. We had Jeff Cobb versus Okada, which I really liked too. I thought it was great. Jeff Cobb hits a stalling running suplex on Okada off the apron to the floor in this match. It was great. Story of the match here. Jeff Cobb is a strong, athletic man, and Okada is a 5-star world-class talent who can out-wrestle anyone. That's the story of the match here. Because Cobb was just like, he was just destroying Okada over and over again. Okada always managed to kick out, or not always, or would find ways to sneak out of moves or counter, or I mean, the finish, look, the finish of the match, they're trying to hit their finishers on each other. Cobb even tries a Rainmaker himself. But Okada eventually, he sits down on a sunset flip attempt, and he just sits down, cradles Cobb and sneaks a win out of that. I think it was a good match. But like nothing mind-blowing. I think they have a better one in them. I think G1 season is coming up. Maybe they're saving it for that. But there's more to this Jeff Cobb Okada fire. And again, this is the kind of thing where I'm like, where I see people going, oh, Okada should have won, Okada should have won. Not Okada, Cobb should have won, Cobb. There's no shame in New Japan to have to work hard to defeat one of their top guys. Okada is one of the top guys. He's one of the 3 top guys in the company. There is no shame in Cobb going like, well, I couldn't do it this. Because he's going to come back next time and he's going to apply the knowledge that he's had from his previous matches to here. I think it's fantastic. Oh, is the rematch is set for Grand Slam? Look, I mean, that's the thing. And we're going to get into it. And maybe Cobb is going to lose again. Or maybe Cobb is going to come in and is going to have an answer for everything. This is storytelling, folks. The Dangerous Techers, Taichi, your lord, and Zack Sabre Jr. are once again IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, defeating Naito and Sanada, and I don't know. Okay, it was actually I didn't hate the match. It was. I think it actually had a really good final third. I thought Naito looked motivated in this match, and that was fun. I think Sanada and Zack Sabre Jr. have extraordinarily good chemistry. I like the fact that Zack Sabre Jr.'s knees and legs were worked on hard by LIJ in this match, and it makes sense. Like, that's probably the best thing you can do by fighting Zack Sabre Jr., right? It's the titles, whatever. And then the next contender. Look, I'll tell you. I keep telling you guys, right? I keep telling you guys. I don't care about the tag team division in New Japan. I really don't. And I'll give you another example as to why I couldn't care less. After the match, you know, they're all 4 of them are still in the ring, and then lo and behold, the next challengers come in to sort of like muscle their way around, because Naito and Sanada are in the ring and they're already renegotiating their rematch. They're already negotiating the rematch. And who comes in the ring while they're doing that? Fucking Goto and Yoshihashi of all. I'm like, of course. I'm being brutally honest. The New Japan Tag Division is booked the same way as the WWE's tag division. I don't think Gato gives a shit about the tag teams. For him right now, it's an occasion to put two singles guys together so that they can both do something. And it's not compelling. And again, like I know people around me are like, oh, World Tag League, I'm excited to see what's gonna happen. I don't care. And I especially don't care if there's going to be about a World Tag League if you can't get anyone from the world, and it's just like, again, you know, fucking Goto and Yoshihashi and Naito and Sanada, all wrestlers that I like. Yoshihashi, but he's not so bad. Look, rant for another time. But, you know, like, putting, I don't know. Like, look, they've started up this junior tag league, right? And I'm laughing. I'm like, why would I want to watch Dick Togo and Gato in a tag team? I'm like, it's so frustratingly stupid. Main event was Shingo Takagi defending and successfully retaining his IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against Hiroshi Tanahashi. Hiroshi Tanahashi filling in for Kota Ibushi, who again, sick, Pneumonia, could not make it. I hope he's okay. This seems it's a little scary. Not gonna lie. I thought this match was phenomenal. I thought it was so very, very good. Story was Shingo shutting down any offense that Tana was trying to pull in. Anything he could build, Shingo would shut him down. Comes in with some strikes. I'll just lariat you down. Escaping from a Nomigani? No, I'll hit you with a DDT. Like anything Tanahashi would do, our boy Shingo would have a counter. The big ass. Ace is high, off the top turnbuckle to the floor. And I still hear the slap of meat when that happened. That was, whoa. And Shingo she just beat the shit out of him. And this really turned into a war of attrition. They were exhausted. At some point, I was watching this match towards the end, and I was like, my God, I'm heaving with them. Like, it was beautiful, exhausting main event from both of these guys. Hell, we even got we got all sorts of stuff. Bomaye from Tana. It was so good. It was fantastic. Stay Dream, that's right, from Shingo. Last of the Dragon eventually puts Tanahashi away. And look, this is what we end up here with. We have Shingo Takagi, incapable of having a bad match. Incapable of having not just a bad match, a nothing less than great match. Everything he has done this year is stellar. You're going to have to come up with very convincing arguments to tell me that Shingo Takagi is not the Wrestler of the Year 2021. We're going to have to understand what your criteria is first, but if we're talking about match quality, work rate, no one comes close to the consistency that Shingo has in big time matches. Impossible. Hiroshi Tanahashi replaced Kota Ibushi, and you know what? I didn't even miss Kota in this match, and that's a good thing. It means Tanahashi did his job. It's always that, right? Isn't it always that? It's like something goes wrong in New Japan. Oh, let's go to Tanahashi, and he just fought Kenta the night before, and here he is popping into the main event and driving home a hell of a performance again. One of the greatest of all time, unquestionably. Check this match out. Go find it. It's really good. I loved it. Of course, then after the match, Evil shows up in the darkness to challenge Shingo. This is what I told y'all. This is what we were talking about last year when the whole Evil thing happened, and then all of a sudden he lost the title about a month later, and this is what I told you guys what he was going to be for. A guy who doesn't always have to be in the main event picture, but that you can pull up anytime because he's broken that ceiling. So he's been a main eventer. He can return to the main event spot whenever and there you go. You need someone new for Shingo. Here we are. Bring Evil out. And it's not as if New Japan is rife with possibilities right now. Nothing's going well with, I mean, look, New Japan this year has been snake bitten. Injuries, disease, positive tests, quarantines, and look, and the government is supposed to announce tomorrow, Friday, or maybe they're doing it as I'm recording right now. The government is supposed to announce that they're going to clamp down even harder on on restrictions. They're going to add more restrictions because cases keep going up in Japan. So I was listening to the Voices of Wrestling again, and I know I talk about the guys all the time, but sometimes they make really salient points, and I'm going to echo this point that they made. I mean, at this point, especially if the country's going to shut down even tighter, pack everyone up, put them all in airplanes, send them to North America, run New Japan shows in the United States. Look, I'm not going to pretend that I'm privy to all the logistics that this implies and what the costs would be, but it couldn't be less of a money losing endeavor as it is right now in Japan. Plus on top of that, you're not dealing with situations where cases are spiking everywhere. I know it's different from state to state, but in Japan, it's still really bad. They haven't broken the curve yet. So just bring all the guys over. I mean, that's practically what they're doing these days. Fucking, they got the Good Brothers on AEW on Impact. Well, I know they're not officially New Japan. You know what I'm talking about. And then they have Hikuleo. Then you have Nagata showing up. Hiroshi Tanahashi, Jay White on Impact. It's like the gang's almost all here regardless. Run shows in America. I don't know. And of course, there's the, just to wrap up on the Evil thing, he apparently used a homophobic slur when doing his post-match press conference right after the show. Of course, I don't understand Japanese, but it's circulated, and we get it, right? We can probably make out what he said. Look, here's the thing. In New Japan, the wrestlers have pretty much complete control over what they say. There's no scripts. They just do what they have to do. They say what they want to say, essentially. It's unfortunate that Evil decided that was a good idea. Again, I'm not a Japanese speaker, so I can't attest to how easily it came out. I don't know if it was forced or if it was very natural. Like, it's a shame. It's a shame that it came out regardless. I'd be curious to see how, or to know how easily it rolled off the tongue, or if it felt a little forced, because then that can be telling them a lot of stuff. So that's a shame, and not a good look for Evil, heel or not. But I will say, though, gotta say this, though, the fact that New Japan edited that bit out when they released the final cut of the post-show discussion, of the post-show press conference, I think that's very telling. And good move, New Japan, and probably someone had a little talk with Evil. It was like, dude, that's this can't happen again, kind of thing. And I'm absolutely okay with that. And good on New Japan to do it. New Japan not always really privy or sensitive to that kind of stuff. Sometimes they've let us down on a few occasions on certain subjects. They had decided to book Marty Scurll, for instance. So good on them. It's never a change in policy in that direction. It's never a bad thing. Do I think Evil sucks for using that? Yeah, I don't know. Did he really do it for cheap heat? Because it's the cheapest form of heat, and it's unnecessary, and it sort of sets everyone back a bit. Nah, I'm not cool with it. But good on New Japan for at least trying to make amends on it. Anyway, fun show. Breeze to watch. You gotta love it because New Japan needed a win. Let's talk about... okay, I want to talk about the booking on Monday Night Raw. Because there's a lot of stuff that unnerved a lot of people this week. But I feel it's all one same discussion. It's one same mishmash of, I don't understand. It's the weirdest thing. Here we go. Check this out. Bobby Lashley, right? Booked like a champion. Booked like a dominating, destructive champion, right? And I will die on this hill. I don't think there's anyone who's been better booked than him over the past year or so. I sincerely believe that. He destroys Kofi at the pay-per-view. Then this week, takes out Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, 2-on-1, destroys them both like he should. Because that's how he's being booked. That's how they set up this whole thing with him with MVP saying, "Hey MVP, no more women, no more champagne. I gotta focus on the." So okay, well then focus and be a destroyer. He's focusing. He's a destroyer. He was already a destroyer. He got a little sidetracked because suddenly the New Day is able to get the best of him. But now he's focused and he's just chewing fools up. And you buy it. So when you see Bobby Lashley, what do you see? You see a champion. You see a guy who's a threat, who's a credible champion, who looks the part, and he acts the part, and he wrestles like the part. You can't ask for anything better than that. You believe it. You believe it because he's been heated that way. But then when you have the other booking, and this is all on the same show. Nikki Cross last week wins the Raw Women's Championship. She comes out this week for her promo, first segment of the show, and she loses control of it because Charlotte starts blah, 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 blah. Then Rhea comes in and goes blah, blah, blah. By the way, a 22-minute segment. 22 minutes uninterrupted by commercials. So fuck anyone who tells me that, you can't interrupt the first quarter hour of Raw with a commercial. You always have to interrupt because the first quarter hour you have to put a 22 minutes. Nothing but talk, no commercials. So they're talking and Charlotte is talking and I've seen people say, well, Nikki Cross she's not as good a talker as Charlotte. You can't put her in a 20-minute segment where she has to cut promos against Charlotte. She's not good enough. So, hey, here's a wacky, crazy idea. Don't book a fucking 20-minute talk segment. How about that? How about booking your wrestlers to your strengths? Jesus, anyway. It sets up the main event and she loses. Nikki Cross loses her first match out the gate as Raw Women's Champion. It's a non-title match. It doesn't matter. Yes, it does matter. Do you know why? Because wins and losses matter. Because who books their champion to lose their first match out the gate? Who does that? People who overthink basic wrestling booking. It's not complicated. You come in, your champion comes in, right? And beats the contender. Well, Warren, she was fighting Charlotte on her match. I mean, what are you going to do? Have Charlotte lose? Then don't book the match! My God! It's as if these things become like nexus points in the universe where it's like, they booked Charlotte. What are you going to do? You can't have Charlotte lose. Don't book the fucking match. And now they're running the exact same match next week after announcing that they're doing a triple threat at SummerSlam for the women's title. And then there's Drew McIntyre. Right? The man the guy who carried the Raw division on his back since winning the Royal Rumble, who guided everything through the pandemic. A guy, and I still say, fantastic champion, looks the part, affable guy. Now he's involved in an angle with Jinder Mahal, and it's not even Jinder the problem. It's not even a question of Jinder. It's a question of there's swords and motorcycles, and now there's lawyers. There's lawyers involved. I'm like, how are they heating anyone up here?
Warren.
What?
Warren.
What?
Listen, you should leave time for story to play out.
I can't stand that argument anymore.
Well, I'm sorry.
That's all right. You shouldn't have to give a championship storyline time to play out. You should be excited about the stories they're delivering to you out the gate. Not be like, I wonder when this is going. I'm looking forward to being excited about this match. That's not how wrestling works. It's not how it's supposed to. But this is what I realized, and I talked about it. I tweeted about it online when I started seeing these things. When I started seeing people tell me, it's like, just let it play out, And I thought, why are people saying that? And I realized that there's a lot of fans today who don't know what it means to heat up a talent to be in a big time spot. Because WWE, for as long as we can remember, has always been about, it's your turn now. Just picking someone and go boop and dropping them in the spot. Instead of taking the time to build someone hot and credible, to heat them up. While your champion is the champion and defending against someone else, go back and look, have someone in the meantime on the mid card tearing it up and setting themselves up for the next contender. That way the audience won't reject who you as the promotion is sending out as a challenger, because people will be like, yeah, this is the person that makes sense. This is the person that we should put. This is the person that should go into this spot. And we can go to a not so far recent example of that, something that will always stay with me. Becky Lynch winning the titles at WrestleMania, what now, 3 years ago? She wins both the titles. It's a big deal. Everyone was focused on the WrestleMania main event. Rousey, Flair, Lynch. She wins. It was the right call. Everyone's excited. She comes on to Raw the next night. She's like, I'm ready to face whichever challenger. And who do we get? We get Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans, who had basically spent the last 3 months of her call up from NXT strutting up and down the rampway doing jack shit. But suddenly, she's the one who's going to be challenging Becky Lynch for the title. Did we all sit around and applaud and say, good move? No, we were like, what the fuck is this? We outright rejected it because it made no sense. But do you know why they did that? They being WWE? Because while they were so focused on that triple threat main event, they were heating up no one. So this is what's wild when you put on your 2020 retrospective goggles and you look at what happened in that period. Becky Lynch was the hottest, arguably still is, we'll see in a couple of weeks, was the hottest act in the company. There was no one more over than Becky Lynch at that time. And they had no one prepared for her to feud with after her big win at WrestleMania. They knew they couldn't go back to Charlotte immediately because they had been doing the Charlotte feud for the past 8 to 9 months. They couldn't go back to Ronda. Ronda wanted to leave. She needed some time off for whatever. Becky, the next night, has no challengers. No one that the audience is like, this is what we should do. This is what makes most sense. This is what's exciting. So we get Lacey Evans. And that did no favors for Lacey Evans to get over either. Because this was not heat. This was people turned on her. They didn't want to see her and Becky. Not at that stage. If they had spent the past 4 or 5 months heating up Lacey Evans for the spot, I think it would have been another circumstance. But heating someone isn't walking up and down the ramp. That's not heat. That's stupid. And God bless Nikki Cross. I legitimately like Nikki Cross, but it's the same thing here. Same situation. Whoop. Okay, Nikki, you're in the title picture now. And she had been gone for months. Then all of a sudden it's like, let's just put her in. Go. And they're doing her dirty. They did her dirty by having her win in fluke manners. Like, oh, she squeezes out a win. This is a woman who was a women's tag team champion. She had challenged for titles previously, but now all that is retconned. You can't think about that. And I was like, oh, now Nikki Cross, ooh, she pulling out surprise wins. Oh, maybe one day, maybe she'll put out a surprise win to win the title. That's not heat. That's not heating someone up to be a challenger. She was not meant to be taken seriously in her victories. Winning matches out of luck and squirming through victories, if anything, it makes sense. You know, and then she gets Money in the Bank briefcase and then she worms her way. But it's not good TV when you're supposed to be cheering for your babyface champion. Yes, she got the Money in the Bank pop. Everyone does. Come on now. Of course. It's what sustains after. And now first match out the gate, she loses. And not only does she lose, but Charlotte beats the shit out of her after. Build someone, warm them up, get someone, heat them up so that when it's time for your champion to move on to something else, when it's time for another challenger, you'll have someone built. I don't remember seeing anyone complaining that Bobby Lashley was going to be Drew McIntyre's next challenger. I don't remember anyone saying, the weird choice, I'm not sure about that. Weird, right? Probably because he was properly built. Probably because he was heated up properly. Yeah, a guy who was on the mid-card, won the mid-card title, tore through everyone, never really lost the mid-card title. So he's like, I'm moving up to the main event, and there you go. And the thing here, this is how I'm going to wrap up this essay. We keep hearing and a lot of us talk about how terrible WWE's booking is. But the thing is that they know how to book a wrestler. They know how to book a wrestling match, book someone to be hot. They know how to do it. We have proof. They just don't want to do it. They want to overthink things. Want to create the, motorcycles, lawyers. They just don't want to do it. I want to say hello to Conrad from Everything Pro Wrestling. How you doing, Conrad? Welcome. And Kiwi Rob, Justin Firestein, nice to see you. And Anakin JMT left a super chat. Muchas gracias. Anakin. He says, Warren, they did go back to Charlotte on SmackDown. Yeah, eventually. They didn't do it like... What my point was that Lacey... They couldn't go back to Charlotte immediately after WrestleMania. Here's another little interesting thing that I feel like talking about. Here's what's interesting. Keith Lee, right? He comes back. He pops back on our TV 2 weeks ago, right? loses to Bobby Lashley, and the audience goes, what? He tweets out this week. I'm going to read it. Got it right here. It says, I've decided, this is from his Twitter. I've decided. I am just going to tell you guys the story myself. Give me a week or two. So that's in response. That's in response to another tweet that he had made a few more weeks ago, where he said, I can't wait to tell you guys the story of what's really going on, kind of thing. So it got me thinking. I'm like, you want to bet he's on his way out? You want to bet Keith Lee probably asked for his release and he's on his way out of the company? I sort of leave it like that. And I'm like, look, if he loses on Raw, I'm convinced now he's on a farewell tour. Because that's the tradition in wrestling, right? I saw a lot of people going, well, why are they having Keith Lee lose if he's leaving the company? Well, that's usually what happens. If you leave a company, or back in the day in a territory, you would do the rounds, you job out to the guys who were staying in the territory, and you'd bow out gracefully, put guys over before leaving, right? And guess what happens? He loses to Karrion Kross on Raw, who was supposed to lose again to Jeff Hardy, by the way. This is another thing where people tell me, let the story play out, Warrens. I'm like, no. You want Karrion Kross to be over? Let him win. Let him beat guys. I don't remember when has loser guy loses all these matches, then suddenly builds himself back up to a main event spot? When has that ever worked? When has that been historically in wrestling the way to do it? I probably someone will point out one situation where it happened and be like, oh, well, it worked for, Mike Rotunda in Smoky Mountain. I don't know. Like, I'm saying anything. But yeah, just because it works one time doesn't mean it works all the time. Is my point. So I'm like, do you want to bet he's done? And this is speculation here. I'm not saying I'm not privy to news. I'm not a scoopster. I'm not an insider. I'm not privy to this kind of information. Please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. But it does feel like that. I feel like Nick Khan is in a cost-cutting mode. I think anything that he can get rid of, any expenses that he can cut, he'll do it. Keith Lee probably doesn't have the biggest salary of the company, but he probably makes a fair amount, I would think. And I'm still convinced. I'm telling you guys. When it comes to Nick Khan is not, he didn't come up in wrestling. He's not a carny. He doesn't give a shit about, Vince's feud with Ted Turner. Doesn't care about the territory days. He doesn't give a shit about all that. His job is to make WWE a viable, contemporary media company. That's what he's there for. So if he looks at the roster and he says, we have 200 plus people and we only have 70 some spots per week, we need to be cutting people. No reason to be keeping on all these people on the payroll. And maybe Vince is telling him, well, pal, the tactic that you should use is, you hoard all the talent so that it strangles out the competition. So they don't get the top people. We keep on, we hang on to them. And the other guys, they're scrounging for scraps. And Khan's like, I don't care, Vince. I don't care about the other people. I care about us. I want us to be solvable. I want us to be a company that stays above water. I want us to make money. I want us to be attractive for potential buyers. That's what I want. No one is going to buy this company when you have 200 people signed as talent and you only use a third of those on a weekly basis. No one's going to buy that. I'm convinced. I frankly think the days of stranglehold WWE contracts might be done. I think that people will come, unless, of course, you're talking about stars on another level. I don't think Keith Lee is on a Daniel Bryan type of level where WWE would probably throw everything to try and keep him. But I'm pretty sure if Keith Lee's like, you know what, this isn't working out, can I have my release, please? Probably makes more sense to be like, yeah, just give him his goddamn release. Because this is something I never understood. Why would you keep a talent? Why would you keep someone who is miserable and not happy and who will affect locker room morale and he'll bitch, he'll whine? Why would you hang on to that? Like, seriously. Like, if you're working, think of your own place of employment right now, or a previous place of employment, wherever. And you're working, your boss says to one of your coworkers, no, you can't quit. Your coworker goes to see your boss, says, boss, can I quit? Boss says, no, you can't. The guy's miserable. He's unhappy. All he's going to do is poison the atmosphere. He's going to make your life miserable. Cut him. Tell him to hit the bricks. I feel like Nick Khan is ushering in a new era when it comes to these types of this type of behavior when it comes to the contracts. But we'll see. But I would not be surprised within 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe, one of those tweets pop up from the WWE account saying Keith Lee and WWE have come to terms. WWE has come to terms with the departure of Keith Lee. We wish him all the best in his future endeavors. I'm pretty sure. I want to talk about something that really made my day, though. If you don't mind, let's do this. Our girl, Dakota Kai. It may have been. Look, the timing's fine. I don't want to bit. I don't even know. I feel like I would have done it earlier, but I think the idea was for Raquel to go through the entire locker room, right? That was the point, so that really the only person that was left is Dakota Kai, and Raquel still won't give her a title shot. So Raquel is in the ring with Dakota Kai going, is there anyone over there who can beat me? And you could tell, right? Dakota was like, son of a bitch, why aren't you offering me a shot? And I support Dakota Kai in this. I think Raquel was an awful person. Oh, but you were my friend. Doesn't matter. You're competitors. You're wrestlers. Like, you want to... So, Dakota does the big turn. She cuts a promo. She's all smiles. And she says, as long as I have your back, you will always be champion. She fucking attacks her. I love it. Picks up the belt. She stands over Raquel. I'm like, everything is right with the universe. This is what we wanted. Now the thing is that the thing here, Dakota Kai should have never been anything less than the biggest heel of the women's division in NXT since turning on Tegan Nox at War Games. That was the absolute most vicious, perfect heel turn, and she should have been pushed to the moon as an uber heel. Absolute uber heel. Not someone who comes and picks you up like Ubermensch. That's what she was going for. That's what they were going for. That's what should have happened. But no, they flip-flopped on it. But they're bringing her back to the heel stuff. I will outright say I don't think the Raquel Gonzalez experiment worked. I had my reservations when she got the title. I think she was put into that position too quick. I don't think she had the work to sustain a championship run. I don't think she had the tools to be the dominating champion that they wanted her to be. Dakota's fantastic. Dakota Kai has always been fantastic. She will continue to be one of the best workers the women's division has. She has always been. She still is today. Put the strap on her. Give her a long, long reign. And we're going to get a bunch of fresh, fun matches. Dynamic. Exciting. Hard-hitting. Let's not forget, Dakota is not afraid to dish it out, and she's not afraid to be dished. To receive it. Super stoked for that. Good decision on NXT this week. I'm glad they're pulling the trigger on it. It's something that I'm excited to see at TakeOver 36. They have to put the belt on Dakota. I don't think Raquel is. I don't think Raquel is the one. I really don't. As it stands right now, TakeOver 36, between that match and Walter versus Ilya, they could put Poo Poo Zombies versus Glazed Donuts for the entire card after that. I wouldn't care. My TakeOver 36 is set up here. We're going to get Samoa Joe and Killer Kross. And Samoa Joe's going to win. My prediction. Samoa Joe's going to win the NXT title so that Killer Kross can head on up to main roster land and whatever, right? That's whatever. Let's talk about AEW Dynamite. So, the 10-man elimination match on Dynamite last night that happened, the Elite versus the Dark Order. Of course, you know, the spectacle of the entrances was a sight to behold. I'm a big sucker for the Dark Order. I really am. Seeing the boys all there. Fantastic. And then having, first of all, okay, all the boys there. And then one extra spotlight, empty, for Brody Lee. I'm like, motherfuckers. I'm not going to lie. I didn't see it live, like on the spot. I saw when people were tweeting about it after and was like, oh. And then Hangman coming out in the middle. And they're all wearing team colors. I'm like, there you go. But it didn't work out for the Dark Order. And here's the thing. I don't necessarily want to walk through the match. I think the match was exciting and it had great moments. It had all the callbacks with the Elite and Hangman Page. Simple storytelling beats that go through this, and no one on commentary was hammering it home. They didn't pause the action to bring up, well, this happened 6 months ago. They brought up that footage to sort of remind. It's like, look, if you've been paying attention, if you were paying attention, you can you'll know what we're talking about here. It's just that simple. And I appreciate. It's always something I appreciate. I don't like being spoken to like I'm a moron. I like it when people, entertainment companies, consider that I have a certain level of intelligence. The Elite come out, of course, as the Toon Squad from Space Jam. I was too old for Space Jam when the original came out. Like, too old for it to be a nostalgia thing for a lot of people today. This is a sidebar here, because I know a lot of people got excited. A lot of people got excited for the sequel and all the callbacks and all that, and I'm glad people got excited. I good for them, right? But for me, like, Space Jam is not part of my. It's not part of my makeup. You know, it's not like something where I'm like, this was so great. I appreciated it. I thought it was funny. They did the whole 9 yards. They did the music. You know, I got it, but it's, you know, it's not something that I get really, really pumped up about where I'm like, oof. But, you know, my age is showing, what I'm going to tell you. But I enjoyed the match. But the beat here is that the Dark Order lost. It ended up being a 3-on-1 Hangman Page versus his former Elite pals. And it ended up being a 3-on-1 where Kenny won clean with a one-winged angel. Okay? And of course, this tosses the all-out main event in doubt, where everyone was convinced that we were getting Kenny and versus Hangman Page. And we might still can. There's still weeks to this build-up. I'm not saying. But as it stands here, in this precise moment in time that we're talking with each other, all I want to say is this. It would seem that AEW is following my booking plan for Kenny Omega versus Hangman Adam Page. What have I been clamoring for? What have I been saying that I hope they do this? I hope they have the match at All Out, and I hope Hangman Page loses. And then Hangman Page goes on a redemption run, comes back in next year at Revolution to finally beat Kenny Omega. Finally, after all these losses that he's taken to Omega, finally gets the one that matters for the title. Because as it stands right now, he's never fought Kenny for the title. None of them really mattered. They've had stakes, but none of them have had the gravitas attached to it that a world title has. And this is what I've been saying. I've been saying I don't want Hangman to win at All Out. Stretch this shit out. Make it epic. Look at how into Hangman the audience is. Regardless of what he's a built babyface. Continue heating him up. Give him heartbreaking losses like we got on Monday. The energy, the air was sucked out of the room when he lost. What more of a glorious ending than that, where everyone's like, yeah, he's gonna do it. No, he's not. And not only is he going to lose, but he's going to lose clean to the guy's finisher. I loved it. Now, I don't, and you know what? You know why I love it even more? Is that at this time, at this specific moment in time, we don't know what's going to happen at All Out. What's the main event? Are plans changing because of certain people who might be showing up? Maybe. But this was shocking. It was surprising. I thought we were getting Super Smash Bros. Stu and Uno at All Out against the Bucks. Clearly not. Like I said, we can still... It's wrestling. There are so many ways that you can bring this back around in time for All Out. I'm not saying that this is absolutely the end, that we're not getting Omega and Page. God damn, I was excited when I saw that. I was like, yes! There's nothing better. This ties into what I've been saying earlier. This is what I've been saying earlier, talking about WWE and heating people up. They've been heating Hangman up for Omega for months now. Page lost one match this year against Brian Cage. He's been going through everyone otherwise. He's just been boom, boom, next. And people love him. He's a natural babyface. Let's keep going. He's just so he's a credible challenger and people are excited for him. But he can't seem to get one over Kenny. Kenny's the final boss. He has to struggle against the... They're establishing it so wonderfully, so perfectly. I'm stoked for this. I think this is a great story they're telling. I love it. Absolutely love it. Later on in the evening, we get the IWGP United States title heavyweight. The champion Lance Archer successfully defended his title against Hikuleo, who came out with his dad. Everyone keeps calling him King Haku. It's Meng! It's Meng! For me, it will always be Meng. Yeah, great match. Great match. Well, not great. Good match. Like Hikuleo he's good, but he's still green. But man, Archer looked like a beast here, and that was fantastic. And that's what we needed, right? That was the thing. That was the thing that needed to happen. But here's the thing, right? A little earlier in the evening, we got Hiroshi Tanahashi popping up on the screen saying, "Hey, I'm going to challenge whoever wins tonight." I just popped so hard. Hiroshi Tanahashi just showing up casually on TV on AEW programming via video, just to say, "Hey, whoever wins tonight, I'm challenging them for a title." God damn, wrestling's fun, guys and gals. It really is. It really is. And so Archer wins. Tanahashi set up the challenge. It was announced that the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship would be defended at Spirit Unleashed, which is the New Japan show that's going to be running in just a couple of weeks, which means that Tanahashi's coming to North America. And then a little later on in the evening, you have Jon Moxley's like, "Oh, I see this. Oh, I see it. Tanahashi, I've been trying to fight you. You've been ducking me. Oh, and finally, like, I lose the strap, and now suddenly, oh, now you're interested in the title." I'm like, oh my Lord. Can you imagine, like, Hiroshi Tanahashi is going to be in North America for a couple of weeks in August. He could absolutely show up on AEW and have a match with Jon Moxley, and I would lose my shit. And let's not forget Lance Archer in all of this, because Lance Archer he's having the greatest moment of his career. You remember a few months ago, he had tweeted something to the effect that, he was like, I was just told of some plans for me, and if they come true, I'm so excited. Best company in the world to work for. I can't believe. He wins the United States title off of Jon Moxley, uber protected wrestler in AEW in his hometown. And then he's being loaned out to New Japan to fight the fucking ace of the company, one of the greatest of all time, for a title match, a single title. I mean, of course, if I were the guy, I'd be like, man, and I'm in my mid 40s. And he's like, he's wrong. I am so happy for Lance Archer. Couldn't be happier for the guy. And if this all swirls around, look, I'm gonna tell you. I don't know what to tell you. If this stuff in wrestling, companies cross-pollinating and wrestlers showing up on other shows, if that doesn't excite you, if it doesn't get you going, if it doesn't make you excited, I don't know what to tell you. It shouldn't happen this way. No, this is exactly how it should be happening. I love it. It's a great time to be a fan of pro wrestling. Darby Allin had a promo. I didn't know. Maybe have you heard? He had a very, just a little promo with Sting. They announced the big show at the United Center, which is a big deal. The Rampage show, the First Dance. What's it called? Yeah. And Darby starts saying, this is where you come to prove yourself in AEW. Where you show who you're the best, even if you think you're the best in the world. Now, to the untrained eye, that may be just a very, just a throwaway line. Wrestler saying, "Oh, you want to be the best in the world? You come and fight me." But the way that Darby delivered it, the way and the fact that it, the slight emphasis that he put on it, the fact that that's what closed out his promo, there's meaning to that. And the meaning goes over to the fact that the best in the world moniker is one that a certain Chicago-made punk has been or used in the past. So essentially, Darby Allin basically said that he is that CM Punk is on his way to AEW. Now, he did not outright say it. Heavily implied. I was ready to sit here tonight, right up until that promo. I was ready to sit here and I was going to talk about Tony Khan going on podcasts, giving interviews, people asking him, TK, is CM Punk signed? And he's not confirming, he's not saying anything, And I was going to sit here and say, look, TK he's painting himself into a corner here. Either if he doesn't address the rumors and he continues being coy and CM Punk is not showing up in AEW, well, he's setting up his audience for disappointment, and that can turn on him really, really quickly. That could be a disaster. Whereas on the flip side, if he's being coy about it and he's not addressing it and CM Punk is signed, well, then it's a big deal. I mean, that's what I was about to talk about, but there's no point to talk about Tony Khan and the rumors, whether he's addressing them or not. It doesn't matter anymore, because he's out there. He's got his wrestlers going out there and dropping massive hint bombs. I'm floored. I didn't expect them to do that, but I'm glad they did. I think it's awesome that they did. And that's going to help ticket sales when they open up the United Center in tomorrow, right? And I'm just saying, I'm gonna be in the Chicago area. If all goes well, I'm going to be in the Chicago area around that show. Might be fun to go drink in that crowd reaction. Look, this is all great shit. It's all good. This is fantastic stuff. And I'm sure you... How can anyone be sour at the idea of CM Punk... I want to phrase this properly. How can anyone sort of sit down and say, You know what? I don't think Darby Allin is a big enough star for CM Punk. I don't think that's a good take. I don't think that's a good take coming from Darby Allin is a big star in AEW. You know, you keep hearing it's like, they never built anyone. They don't build their own stars. It's just people from... Darby Allin is AEW made. He's a success story. He's a draw. He's a top level. He's a top guy. He's one of the top guys in the company. Why wouldn't you allow the CM Punk mystique to trickle onto him? Yeah, the rub. The good old rub. You know, you want to make Darby a top guy. You want to continue having people see him as a top guy. You put him with the top guys. It'd be weird if they decided to do this with, you know, Griff Garrison. No disrespect, but Griff isn't being positioned as a top guy. So if it was like Griff Garrison versus CM Punk, you know, that from the get-go, you're like, no, this is weird. And no, you don't expend MJF on the night CM Punk returns. That's dumb. You draw that shit out. Yeah, who the fuck is Griff Garrison? It's a name I keep hearing. People keep telling me about him. I don't know who he is. Couldn't point him out in a lineup. Another little thing I would like to talk about. Actually, kind of like calm people down a bit. Oh, no, hang on. I don't want to calm people down. We had Thunder Rosa versus Julia Hart, right? And I saw a lot of people get really unnerved about this. And there's some reasons to be annoyed at it, some reasons not. The basic thing is, like, first of all, people coming in saying, why is Thunder Rosa fighting Julia Hart, who is a newbie? She's super green and blah 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 blah. It's because Thunder Rosa is coming in. Now she's officially All Elite. She's no longer beholden to anyone else. She's officially AEW. They want to warm her up for Britt. So what do? You have her come in and establish her position in the hierarchy of the women's division as a top woman, top female competitor. Have her fight Julia Hart? Of course she's going to squash Julia Hart. Julia didn't get any offense. She shouldn't. She did. Wasn't a complete squash, but she shouldn't. She got just enough offense, just enough for Rosa to counter some shit and be like, nah, son. And Julia Hart, I'm still on the record with this. Great look, perfect match for the Varsity Blonde. She's got that girl next door look to her. I understand why she's in the position she's in. And I think they make a great trio. I think, and I'm all for trios, guys and women together. Absolutely, give me more of those. But she's not. She's green. She's super green. She's not ready. It's okay. She's a developmental talent. She shouldn't be put, and she's not pushed as such. She's not pushed as a threat. They're not trying to make us believe that she's like this incredible, talented wrestler. So no, put her in the ring against Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa schools her because it all makes sense. Because she's not on Thunder Rosa's level. She doesn't have the experience. She's not ready for Rosa. So Rosa just eats her up. Again, this is how you heat up a wrestler for your champion. That's how you do it. Now, I see a lot of things, and I'm not going to disparage the level of talent that she's at right now. But, because a lot of you are in the chat, and that's cool, saying she's good for 19 years old. Sure. Would all invite you to go check out Billy Stark's matches. If you know, who's younger and incredible. Or Starboy Charlie. You know, like, I get it, but she's not ready. She's not ready. But for how they're using her, it's perfect. Because it's all very clear that she's not, it's all very clear that she's not on the level yet. So that's fine. You have the big talent, demolish her. Perfect. Next. The thing that irks, I think, people, and it does to me as well, and it's been a while since I've had a good old-fashioned AEW women's division rant. And I'm not necessarily going to go on to a rant, but when you're on, I think this type of match, where you have Thunder Rosa come in for a squash like this, I think this type of match would get over better if you had other women competing on the card on a higher level match. Because now it sort of feels we're throwing you a bone kind of thing. And Kenny Omega, not that long ago, I think, was it earlier this week or the week before? I don't quite remember. Was doing interviews, was talking about how, I want to have more women's matches on television. Yeah, I'm fighting, but there are certain EVPs, that are resistant to that. But I'm doing my best, and I'm like, look, Kenny has been saying this for the better part of a year to 18 months at this point. We know Kenny is very, very, very pro women's division. And I know he does a lot of work there. And he's very selfless in that manner. But at some point, it's like, all right, well, there's only, this story will only go so far. I don't know. I can figure out pretty easily who's shutting it down. And, Tony Khan is a numbers guy. He sees the ratings and he says, look, we're going to go with this, this, and this, and not them, and them, and them. So he's making the choices. It's not that big a deal. But how much of a challenge is it to put the women on TV if Kenny Omega, who is an EVP of the company, if he's struggling to get it on? Like, how really complicated is it? How difficult is it? Because then you'll have Dustin Rhodes go on his Twitter and talk about how, the women are working hard and how proud he is of them and so on and so forth. As it stands, even to this day, I think AEW is still a lot of talk when it comes to their women's division. They've improved, but even in the way that they're approaching it, they know they're not living up to expectations. Expectations that, I will remind you, that they set for themselves in the build up to AEW. When you had Brandy Rhodes take the microphone and say, we are going to build the greatest, best women's division of all time. And I know all the excuses and all the reasons why we're not at this point. Oh, well, COVID got rid of most of the Japanese female wrestlers. But then again, they didn't hire any women, any established indie talent that could have been on television, that could have gone on TV. They didn't do that in the meantime, though. Oh, they hired all sorts of dudes. Didn't hire anyone for the women's division, though. Oh, okay. Oh, you got to give these things time, Warren. It's the same thing. It's like, let the storyline play out. It's just at some point. It's literally a shit or get off the pot situation. We're trying to put the women on TV. It's not hard. These are decisions you're making. It's decisions you're making. So if you're deciding to not put the women on TV, there's no force of nature that's keeping you from doing it. You're just deciding not to do it. And we're still at this spot here. Thunder Rosa, fantastic. Honestly, I don't think the AEW women's division has been this strong since its inception. I really don't. Britt, Rosa, Statlander, Emi Sakura's coming back. And I know Emi's not everyone's cup of tea, but Emi is a fantastic trainer, and the women in the back are going to benefit from having that woman around. Penelope Ford has improved tremendously. Nyla Rose, the division is in, and that's not even without mentioning women like Kylan King and Red Velvet, who are fantastic. Jade, I guess. I guess Jade. Why aren't they having Jade wrestle on Dynamite? That's just my point. Like, these are decisions they're making. Well, who do you not push? That's the point. It's like, you make these decisions. You decide to push people. You decide not to push people because there's a whole bunch of people they're not pushing right now with who they're actually using right now. So, Mr. Fantastic, good to see you. Welcome to the chat. And finally, Chris Jericho got the shit kicked out of him when he faced Nick Gage on live television, free TV, did not have to pay for this match for anyone bleeding. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. Hang on, I gotta change this. This is very, very much cool beans as far as I go. So, I'm not gonna lie. I was not expecting anything remotely close to what we saw on Dynamite last night. I was not expecting. I was expecting, they'll pull out a light tube and they'll tease using it, but they won't. They'll use chairs. They'll throw guys through tables. That kind of stuff. That's what I was expecting. I was not expecting the full Nick Gage experience on TNT television. And my expectations, I limited my expectations as everything sort of went further. So they pull out the sheet of glass. I'm like, okay, so the glass sheet is the big spot. No, then there's the light tubes. Okay, well, he's cracking light tubes across his back. He's not going to crack it across his head. He cracks a light tube across Jericho's head. So, okay, well, he's not going to do the spot where he takes the broken light tube and he's going to stab him. He did it like twice. It's like, okay, all right, so we're not neutering Nick Gage. And what a fucking ballsy move. I mean, this is what AEW had to do regardless, because otherwise we'd be sitting here talking about it if they had did a TV friendly death match. We'd all be sitting here and saying, well, Nick Gage, it was cool and all, but it wasn't like a big Nick Gage bloodbath, But it was a big Nick Gage bloodbath. He goes for the pizza cutter. Like, at first it's sort of tame. That's why I'm sitting there and I'm going like, oh, okay, they're going to start throwing each other through tables. They'll do some chair spots. It'll be, it'll be fine. But when he does pull out the pizza cutter, I'm like, oh shit, okay, it's getting real. And then everything else. And what about Jericho's Hurricane Rana off the top rope? Oh my God. Through the glass? Props to Chris Jericho on this. And you cannot say it enough. Look, this is okay. A match that Chris Jericho could have decided to never do for the rest of his career, and his legacy would have remained unaffected. Unaffected. Blah. His legacy would have remained unaffected. He would have left the wrestling, retired with honors, kind of thing. He didn't have to do this match. He didn't have to do it in the way, but he decided to do it, and I can only salute that. A guy who did not have to do this, had nothing to prove, right? Nothing to prove. I loved it. You know why I loved it? Because then you've got, and you know who I'm talking about, the miserable people who watch wrestling and can't find fun in anything that isn't cookie cutter and has been done in this way for the past 20 years.
TNT.
Hang on, no.
TNT is going to hate this. This isn't suitable for televisions. People are going to poo-poo and not... this is not good because of all the blood.
I'm like, you know what? This makes the product unpredictable. Of course, if they do this every week, it's going to lose its appeal. They probably won't. But they did it this one time. It makes the product unpredictable. You think you've understood the formula of TNT and AEW together, and they spin it around and they're like, nah, look, we're doing this tonight. And it surprises you. And you know what? I like being surprised when it comes to wrestling. I like the shocker. Like, oh shit! Jericho's bleeding buckets! They did it! Don't be dorks like Domino's Pizza. Right? DGMC left a super chat in that regard. Thank you, DGMC. He says, Gage versus Shock in a Papa John's parking lot? Book it! Right? Because Domino's apparently put out a statement saying, oh, we disavow. Because you've probably seen the thing by now. As at some point in the match, when Nick Gage has the pizza cutter, he's cutting up Jericho, and as they do that, they go to picture in picture, and they run a Domino's pizza ad as he's slicing Jericho, and the commercial, you have someone slicing a pizza pie, and it's fantastic. But now Domino's like, oh, we disavow, and we hear we disavow this, and I'm like, what a bunch of dorks! What a bunch of dorks! For a living, I work in PR, I work in marketing. If I were on this marketing team, I'd be like, we're all over this. We're making a thing out of it in social media. We're reaching out to Nick Gage. We're reaching out to AEW. No, their thing is they say, oh, we might pull our ads from TNT. We might pull all of our ads from TNT just because of the pizza cutter thing. Sure, okay, pull your ads. Papa John will be gladly take those spots up, or Pizza Hut, or Little Caesars. Do you have Little Caesars in the U.S.? I think that's no, Little Caesars is Pizza is a Canadian thing, though. But anyway, I thought it ruled. I thought it was a great main event. Keeps you on your toes. You're like, and now the next labor of Jericho is a match against Juventud Guerrera. And I love how they tied it into one of their Jericho and MJF's earliest shit-talking promos that they had together. I love how they tied that in. It's so good. And I love it. And I'm like, he's having a match against Juvie. It's WCW 1995 all over again. Cruiserweight match. Let's bring Cyclope in and have him unmask himself to reveal himself as Dean Malenko. That'd be so crazy. I'd love it. Honestly, the labors of Jericho are so good so far. Started off with Shawn Spears, but now it's like, Nick Gage, and we're getting surprises. Nick Gage, Juventud Guerrera. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm into this angle. And I've seen people bitch about it. It's like,
MJF did the same thing with Cody when he had Cody do all the trials before he could fight him.
Sure. You know what? Let's have MJF do that every time he has a big match with someone. MJF responded to one of those dweebs on Twitter saying, yeah, I did it against Cody, and you know what? It worked, so I'm gonna do it again. It makes sense. It makes sense. 5 accents I've used tonight, different accents. That's fantastic. Hello, Nick Nutter. Welcome to the chat here. And Kristen Ashley, the First Lady of the MrWarrenHayes show. Yeah. All showing up here just as I'm ready to wrap up the weekly wrestling inspection. I hope you join us in a few minutes. I'm going to hop on over to the member side of the YouTube, that you come and join us so that we can continue talking about pro wrestling at the post stream for exclusive for members only. Come in the chat, come join us in Discord calls. Just become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show YouTube channel right here, and you can have access to that. We're starting in a few minutes. We'll be starting with it. What are we talking about tonight? What's the discussion? I don't know. You bring your topics. You guys bring. Let's talk about what you feel like talking about tonight. There's so much going on in wrestling. I want to hear what's getting you excited. Tell me what you're excited about in wrestling, because there's a lot to get excited about. I don't want to monopolize everything. I just talked about what I'm excited about for the past 2 hours. That's your turn. Let's go. Feed me. Let's have some more talk. But you got to be a member. Become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, and then flip over to the fun side. Not that this wasn't fun. I don't want to call it the dark side. It's something else. I take my hat off. That's what I take the hat off. That's a members exclusive. Everyone gets to see my full head of hair. You get to see my full head of hair if you're a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. Is that a perk? Is that what that is? All right. Hey, I want to thank everyone for joining me live tonight on the channel on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. First time coming here. Did you enjoy what you see? Consider subscribing. I'd appreciate it. And if you liked what you otherwise, give the video a good old-fashioned thumbs up here on YouTube as well. Thank you so much. I can't thank you guys and gals enough for all your support throughout everything. I sincerely and truly appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. Hope you have a great weekend. Hope to see you on the post show. Otherwise, just see you next time.